Hello, my little love. Did you have a good day today? I hope something made you smile. Now take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let your mind get soft and quiet. It's time for a gentle bedtime story. Once upon a time, in a world where the sky was wider and bluer than any sky you have ever seen, and where the stars at night burned so warmly and so close that you felt you could almost reach up and cup one in your hands like a small glowing coal, there lived a young woman named Psyche. Psyche lived in a kingdom near the sea. Her home was a small house with a garden full of rosemary and lavender and sweet herbs that smelled wonderful in the morning when the dew was still on them. And the bees had just begun their slow, contented rounds. She had a family who loved her and neighbors who were kind, and the sea was always nearby, making its long, low, shushing sound like the world itself was breathing quietly in and out, in and out. Psyche was gentle and curious and full of wonder. She loved to walk slowly through her days, paying close attention to small things. The way a spiderweb caught the morning light and held it in silver drops. The way a cat stretched in a patch of sun and then curled back into itself with a sigh of perfect contentment. The way the sea looked at evening, when the light lay flat and golden across the water and everything was still and the whole world seemed to be resting. She had two older sisters whom she loved very much, and they loved her too, though they sometimes worried about her in the way that older sisters do, always wanting to help and sometimes not quite knowing how. And then one day, something happened that changed everything, though it changed slowly and gently, the way seasons changed, so that you do not notice it all at once, but only look back later and realize how different things have become. A young god named Eros had been watching over Psyche for some time. Not in a strange or frightening way, but in the way that someone watches over a garden they love, with quiet attention and great care. He had long admired the way she moved through the world, her patience and her gentleness and the way she found wonder in small things. And he had felt, growing slowly inside him like a seed opening in warm soil, a feeling so large and new and warm that it took his breath away. He wanted to know her, not to take her from her life, not to change who she was, but simply to be near her and to let her be near him and to see what grew from that, carefully, like tending something precious. And so, one soft evening when the light was golden and the sea breeze moved through the garden carrying the smell of salt and lavender, Eros came to Psyche. He came quietly and gently, the way good things come, and he brought her to a beautiful place, a great and peaceful house set in a valley between green hills, where streams ran over smooth stones and made a sound like quiet music, and where the gardens were full of flowers whose names Psyche did not know, but whose colors were every shade of pink and gold and the palest blue imaginable. The house was warm and full of soft light and everything in it was beautiful and comfortable and good. There were rooms with windows that looked out over the hills, and when the wind moved through the trees on the hillside, it sounded like the trees were murmuring to each other in some old and contented language. There was a kitchen that always smelled of warm bread, and a garden where fireflies came at night and drifted slowly among the flowers like tiny wandering stars. Psyche was not frightened. She felt, stepping into this place, the way you feel when you come inside on a cold evening, and the warmth wraps around you and someone hands you something warm to drink. She felt welcomed. She felt safe. But there was one thing about this arrangement that was unusual. Eros did not show himself to her in the daylight. He came to her only in the evenings, when the sky was soft and dark. And the stars were out, and they would sit together in the warm dark of the garden or in the firelit rooms of the great house and talk for hours. They talked about everything. About the way the world looked from high up and from down low and all the different ways there were to see it. About the things that made them happy and the things they wondered about and the questions they had not yet found answers to. Psyche told him about her family and her garden and her love of small, beautiful things, and Eros listened with his whole self, the way she had always hoped someone would listen. And Eros told her, carefully and slowly, about his work in the world and his love of the earth and the sky and all the hearts beating quietly in all the living things below. And Psyche listened with the same whole attention and felt that she understood him, truly and deeply, even though she had not seen his face. Because that was the one thing she did not have. The sight of him. He stayed in the soft darkness when he was with her. And she knew his voice and the way he laughed and the warmth of his presence beside her. But she did not know what he looked like. And for a long time, this was enough. Because she trusted what she knew of him, and what she knew of him was good. Days passed and became weeks and weeks became months. And the valley was beautiful in the rain and beautiful in the sun and beautiful at night. When the moon came up round and white and turned the streams to silver. Psyche was happy in a way she had not expected to be. A deep and quiet happiness that felt like something solid and warm settled in the center of her. But then her sisters came to visit. They came with love in their hearts, because they truly loved Psyche. But they also came with worry, because they did not understand her life in the valley or the voice that came to her in the evenings. And worry sometimes makes people say things that are not quite right even when they mean only to help. They sat with Psyche in the garden in the afternoon and held her hands and looked at her with concerned eyes, and they said, gently, but persistently, "Dear one, are you certain you can trust what you cannot see? Are you certain this is safe and good? Should you not want to know more? Should you not want to see clearly?" Psyche listened to them with the open and attentive heart she brought to everything. And she felt something shift inside her, not a large or sudden shift, but a small and quiet one, like a pebble being moved in a stream. She had been so happy in her trust. But now, hearing her sisters' worried voices, she began to feel a small flicker of something she had not felt before. Not fear exactly, more like a question, a wondering, a wish to see clearly and be certain. She thought about it for a long time after her sisters had gone. She sat in the garden in the long blue evening and watched the fireflies begin to come out, one by one, drifting their slow light through the warm air, and she thought about trust and certainty and what it means to know someone truly. And she realized something important. She realized that the question her sisters had planted in her was not a bad question. It was a real question. And she believed, with the thoughtful and honest heart she had always had, that real questions deserve real answers. Not because she doubted Eros, but because she felt that love that is full and true should be able to hold the light. That there should be nothing between them that needed to stay in shadow. That if she truly trusted him, then asking to know him fully, to see him clearly, was not a breaking of trust but an expression of it. And so one night, when Eros was asleep beside her, Psyche did something that came not from doubt, but from love and from the honest and courageous heart that had always been her truest quality. She lit a small lamp. Just a small one, its flame barely larger than a candle's, casting a warm and gentle glow across the room. And she held it up and looked at him. And what she saw was a face that was young and peaceful and kind, with soft curling hair and features that were full of gentleness, and on his back, the most beautiful wings she had ever seen, soft and white and glowing faintly in the lamplight as if they held their own quiet light from within. She looked at him for a long time. She felt something open in her chest, large and warm, a feeling like the first day of spring. Like the moment when the sun comes out from behind a cloud and the whole world brightens at once. Because what she saw matched everything she had already known of him. The warmth was real. The kindness was real. The gentleness was real. She had trusted truly, and the truth was even more beautiful than she had imagined. But then a small drop of warm oil from the lamp fell, and Eros woke. He looked at the lamp in her hand and he looked at her face, and what passed between them in that moment was not anger, nothing so sharp or cold as that. What passed between them was something more complicated and more tender. A kind of sadness, the sadness of someone who had wanted to be ready and found that the moment had come before they were. He had planned to show himself to her. He had wanted to choose the moment himself, when he felt sure and prepared. And now the moment had been chosen for him, and he was not quite ready. And he felt, in the soft and complicated way of someone who truly cares, a kind of vulnerability he had not expected. He sat up slowly. He did not raise his voice. He did not say anything unkind. He simply sat in the warm lamplight and was quiet for a little while, and then he looked at her and said, gently, "You looked." "I looked," she said. "I am sorry I did not tell you I was going to. I should have told you first. I should have asked." He was quiet again. Outside, the night was very still. The streams made their quiet sound. A night bird called once from the hillside and then fell silent. "Why did you not ask?" he said at last. Not angrily, just genuinely wondering. Psyche thought about this honestly, the way she thought about everything. "I think," she said slowly, "I was afraid that if I asked, you might say no. And I would still want to know, and then I would have to choose between doing what you asked and following what was true in my own heart. And I did not want to be in that place. So I chose first and asked later, and that was not right, and I am sorry." Eros looked at her for a long time. And something in his face that had been closed and careful opened very slightly, like a window being pushed just a little way out to let in the air. "What did you think," he asked, "when you saw me?" "I thought," said Psyche simply, "that you were exactly who I already knew you to be." There was a long silence. The fireflies drifted through the dark garden beyond the window. The stars were very bright and close. And then Eros let out a long, slow breath, and some of the tightness went out of him, and he looked at her and said, "I was afraid that if you saw me, you might find the truth of me different from what you had imagined, and you might not want to stay." Psyche reached out and took his hand. "The truth of you," she said, "is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." But even so, something had shifted between them that needed time to settle back into place. Not because either of them had meant any harm, but because feelings, even in gods, even in people with the very best of intentions, sometimes need time and space and careful tending before they can be fully at ease again. Trust, once it has been surprised, even gently, needs to be rebuilt slowly, with patience and honesty, the way you rebuild a small wall that has been disturbed, one stone at a time. Carefully, making sure each one sits right before you place the next. And so Eros, because he needed a little time to find his steadiness again. And because he wanted to be sure that what they had was truly solid before they went further, stepped back for a little while. Not away, not gone, just a small step back to breathe and feel and understand what he needed. And Psyche, because she was brave and because she understood that she had something to make right, decided that she would do whatever she needed to do to show him that she was worthy of his trust, not by being perfect. She knew she was not perfect and had never claimed to be, but by being honest and patient and persistent in love. Aphrodite, who was Eros's mother and a goddess of great wisdom and warmth, saw all of this unfolding below her from her high and beautiful home. She had been watching Psyche for some time with a careful eye, the way wise people watch over things they love, wanting to be sure that what is tender is truly ready to grow. And she saw in Psyche's face and in her bearing, and in the determined and gentle way she set herself to repair what had been disturbed, something that moved her deeply. She came to Psyche not as a stern judge, but as a wise and warm guide, the way the best teachers come, not to test you, but to help you find what is already inside you. She set Psyche 3 tasks. The first task was to bring order to a great room full of seeds that had been mixed all together in a vast and seemingly hopeless jumble, seeds of every kind. Tiny seeds and round seeds and flat seeds and seeds like small curved moons, all mixed in one enormous pile that seemed impossible to sort. Psyche stood before the pile of seeds and felt, for just a moment, very small and very uncertain. But she did not give up. She sat down beside the pile and she began, quietly and steadily, to sort them, one by one, with patient hands and a calm and focused mind. And as she worked, something wonderful happened. The ants of the field, small and industrious and wise in their own quiet way, came to help her, drawn by some deep sense that here was someone doing necessary work with a true and humble heart. They came in long patient lines and they worked beside her through the long warm afternoon, and by the time the sun went down and the first stars came out, every seed was sorted, each kind with its own kind, the work complete. Psyche looked at what had been done and felt something warm and good settle in her chest. Not pride exactly, but the deep satisfaction of having done something hard and done it well, with help, without shame. The second task Aphrodite gave her was to gather a small amount of golden fleece from a flock of sheep who grazed in a sunlit meadow beside a wide, calm river. But these were not ordinary sheep. They were large and bright with their own warmth, and they moved in close packed groups. And it seemed, at first, that getting close enough to gather even a little of their fleece without disturbing them would be very difficult indeed. Psyche walked to the edge of the meadow and stood quietly, watching. And then she heard a soft voice, very small and very gentle, speaking from the reeds at the edge of the river. It was the voice of the river reed itself, swaying in the warm afternoon breeze, and it said, "Wait until the afternoon is deep. And the heat of the day has made everything slow and drowsy. Then the sheep will rest in the shade and their fleece will catch on the low branches of the riverside trees. And you can gather it gently from the branches without disturbing them at all. And so Psyche waited. She sat on the warm bank of the river and listened to the water running over smooth stones, and she let the afternoon pass in its slow and golden way. And she breathed the smell of warm grass and river water and was patient. And when the afternoon grew long and lazy and the sheep moved into the shade and settled into their drowsy resting, she went softly and carefully along the riverside and gathered the golden fleece that had caught, just as the reed had promised, on the low branches. Soft and warm in her hands like something that had held the sun. The third task Aphrodite gave her was more delicate still. She asked Psyche to take a small crystal jar and fill it from a particular stream. A stream that flowed from a very high place and wound its way down through steep and stony paths before joining the rivers of the plain below. The stream moved very quickly in its high course, tumbling over dark stones, and the path to it was steep and long. Psyche set off without complaint and without fear, only with the steady and determined heart that had always been her greatest quality. The path was long and the stones were cold and the air at the high places was thin and sharp. But she kept going, one step and then another, resting when she needed to, looking up at the sky when she grew tired, breathing slowly and letting the cool air fill her and settle her. And when she finally reached the high stream and knelt beside it to fill her jar, an eagle came out of the sky, great and slow and calm, and it said to her with a voice like the sound of wind in high places here, "Let me help you." And it took the jar gently in its great talons and dipped it in the swift current and brought it back filled. And Psyche took it with careful hands and said thank you with her whole heart. The way you thank someone who has helped you with something hard. She made her way back down the steep path with the crystal jar full of clear cool water, held carefully in both hands, and the sun was going down by the time she reached the plain, and the whole sky was full of rose and amber and pale gold. And she felt, walking through that beautiful evening light with her task complete, a deep and steady peace. When she brought the filled jar to Aphrodite, the wise goddess took it and looked at Psyche for a long time with her warm and knowing eyes. She saw in Psyche's face everything she had needed to see. Not perfection, not ease, not the absence of difficulty, but something better and more real than any of those things. She saw persistence. She saw humility. She saw the willingness to ask for help when help was needed and to wait when waiting was what the moment required. She saw a heart that was patient and honest and loving and brave in the quiet, steady, undramatic way that is the truest kind of bravery. She smiled. And it was a smile full of warmth and welcome. She brought Psyche to Eros. He was waiting in a garden full of evening flowers, pale and fragrant, their petals just beginning to open in the cooling air. He stood among them and watched her come toward him across the grass. And the low, late light, and his face was open and still and full of something that had been waiting a long time to be expressed. They stood together in the garden and they were both quiet for a moment. The way you are quiet when something important is happening and you want to be fully present for it, not to miss a single breath of it. Then Eros said, "I watched you. Every task. I saw how you did it." Psyche looked at him. "How did I do it?" she asked softly. "With patience," he said. "And honesty. And by asking for help when you needed it and waiting when waiting was right and never giving up even when it was hard." He was quiet for a moment. "You did it the way I would want to be loved," he said. "Carefully, and truly, and with your whole self." Psyche felt the warmth rise in her chest, that large and quiet warmth she had always associated with him, but larger. Now, fuller, steadier, because now it had been tested and had held. I did all of it, she said simply, because I love you. Not perfectly, I know I am not perfect, but truly. And I wanted you to be sure of that. He reached out and took her hands. His hands were warm and gentle, and she felt, holding them, that she was holding something real and lasting, something that would not shift or fade. I am sure, he said. And Aphrodite, watching from just inside the doorway of the great house with its evening windows full of golden light, felt something ease inside her, the last small tightness of a mother's worry releasing like a knot that has been gently worked loose. She had not been sure at the beginning. She had watched with careful eyes, and she had needed to see what Psyche was made of before she could fully welcome her. And now she had seen it, and what she had seen was good, and the watching was over, and all that was left was the welcome. She stepped into the garden, and she held out her hands to Psyche. And Psyche took them, and Aphrodite looked at her with warm and knowing eyes and said, "You have done something very hard, and you did it with love. That is the most important thing. Welcome." And Psyche felt, hearing that word from Aphrodite's kind mouth, something complete in her. Some last small door inside her swinging open onto warmth and light. The evening settled around them, soft and fragrant. The flowers breathed their quiet perfume into the cooling air. The first stars came out above the garden, one by one, patient and bright. And the moon lifted slowly over the far hills and laid its silver light across the grass and the flowers and the three figures standing together in the garden in the long and peaceful evening. They stayed out under the stars for a long time that night. The three of them, talking and being quiet in turns, the way people do when they are comfortable together and do not need to fill every silence. Psyche told Aphrodite about the ants and the eagle and the river reed, and Aphrodite laughed softly, and said that she was not entirely surprised, that the world always finds ways to help those who come to it with honest hearts. And Eros sat beside Psyche with her hand in his and felt something settle in him that had been restless for a long time. The feeling of something being in the right place at last. The streams ran on beyond the garden, making their small and musical sound. A night bird called somewhere in the trees on the hillside, a low and comfortable sound, the sound of the world being inhabited and at peace. The fireflies came out, as they always did, and drifted their slow small lights through the dark garden. Like thoughts that are almost asleep, wandering and gentle. And Psyche sat in the warm dark with the stars above her and the hand of someone she loved in hers and felt, for the first time in her life, that she was exactly where she was meant to be. She had trusted. She had erred and she had admitted it. She had been patient and honest and brave. She had asked for help and given thanks for it. She had kept going even when the path was long and the work was hard. And she had arrived, not at perfection, not at a place without difficulty or question or the ordinary beautiful, complicated business of living alongside someone else, but at something real and warm and lasting. And that, she understood now, was what love truly was. Not the absence of questions, but the willingness to sit with them honestly. Not the absence of uncertainty, but the courage to keep going anyway. Not the need to see everything all at once, but the patience to let things come to light in their own time, gently, truly, at the pace of something that is real. The night grew deep around them, and the stars wheeled slowly overhead in their old and patient courses, and the moon moved through the sky in its unhurried way. And the whole world was quiet and at rest and full of the soft sound of streams and the distant breathing of the sea and the small, contented sounds of a garden alive with night creatures going about their gentle business. And somewhere in the great house a lamp was burning, one small warm light in a window, steady and kind. And everything was well. You did well today, my little love. Now let your eyes grow heavy, and let the night wrap around you like a soft blanket. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and rest deeply.